Authorities have made the second major drug bust in DuBois County within a year. We'll have more on that. Plus, Honor Flight of Southern Indiana is starting to look ahead to its next flight this fall. And Kelly Johnson discusses the WBDC Cornhole Tournament of Champions tonight on Inform. All of that and much more is up next here on the 18 WJTS News. Hello, I'm Bradford Raths. DuBois County authorities are celebrating another victory over drug dealers tonight after making the second major drug bust within a year early this morning. In all, 8 people were arrested in this bust early this morning, an effort codenamed Operation Double Trouble. DuBois County Chief Deputy Prosecutor Beth Summersheim says the groundwork for this plan was laid out last June as she and DuBois County Sheriff's Department Narcotics Officer John Anderson teamed up to conduct undercover drug buys. Summersheim says Operation Double Trouble was chosen since it was following up Operation Big Brother, a plot that netted 16 drug arrests early last summer. Thus, Summersheim says Operation Big Brother ultimately served as the inspiration.
We had a great success, and we thought that it really made an impact on the community when we completed Operation Big Brother, so we decided to continue on with that. Like Operation Big Brother, we used undercover informants to make controlled buys, and that's how we were able to secure arrest warrants for various types of dealing offenses.
Now, like in Operation Big Brother, the informants used for Operation Double Trouble were developed primarily through street-level arrests made by uniformed patrol officers and Anderson. Summersheim says informants made undercover drug buys of methamphetamine, heroin, MDMA, and Schedule 2, 3, and 4 controlled substances. As a result of the covert investigations, felony arrest warrants for drug dealing charges were obtained by the DuBois County Prosecutor's Office. Now, as I mentioned, 8 people were arrested this morning. They were 33-year-old Jared Bird of Jasper, who faces a Level 4 felony for dealing in oxycodone and a Level 4 felony for dealing OxyContin. 19-year-old Corey Bukta of Jasper is facing a Level 6 felony for dealing MDMA, which is a Schedule 1 controlled substance. 27-year-old Matthew Cronin of Jasper, who is charged with 2 Level 5 felony counts of dealing methamphetamine. 57-year-old Jeffrey Freedy of Jasper, who faces 2 Level 4 felony counts of dealing in methamphetamine, a Class A misdemeanor for dealing in paraphernalia, and a habitual offender enhancement. 23-year-old Brock Gill of Jasper, he is charged with a Level 5 felony for aiding, inducing, or causing dealing in methamphetamine. 25-year-old Gavin Modice of Celestine is charged with several offenses. These are 2 Level 5 felony counts for dealing in amphetamine and dextroamphetamine, which are Schedule 2 controlled substances, and a Class A misdemeanor for dealing in marijuana. Modice is additionally charged with possession of marijuana and possession of paraphernalia. 30-year-old Stuart Knopfsinger of Richland is charged with Level 3 and Level 4 felony counts for dealing in methamphetamine and a habitual offender enhancement. And 24-year-old Bryce Sadler of Jasper, who faces a Level 5 felony for dealing in methamphetamine. Stuart Wilson with the DuBois County Sheriff's Department says this was a big day for all involved.
Sometimes it feels like a losing battle, but on days like today, it's a definite victory. Today we know that there are at least 8 persons that are not going to be dealing narcotics in our communities, and that's a good day for law enforcement.
Now, Sadler was served his warrant back on May 21st when he was arrested on unrelated criminal charges, including possession of a handgun without a permit and possession of drug paraphernalia. Sadler had his initial court hearing on May 26th, where his bond was set at $2,000. His pretrial hearing is set for June 9th. Meanwhile, the other 7 who were arrested made their initial court appearances in DuBois Superior Court earlier this afternoon. Tomorrow and Saturday will mark a special celebration for the town of Fulda. St. Boniface Catholic Parish in Fulda is celebrating the 150th anniversary of its historic church building beginning tomorrow at 3 p.m. Central Time. The celebration will continue into the night and throughout the day on Saturday. Now, the celebration Mass on Saturday will begin at 4 o'clock Central Time. Luke and Jillian Hildenbrand are helping to coordinate this celebration for the church, and Luke Hildenbrand says it's important to remember that the celebration is about the building and not the parish. Some of the events this weekend will include kids' games, the first stop of the WBDC Cornhole Tournament of Champions, which you'll hear more about later this evening, and a raffle for a 2015 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited Sport 4x4. That drawing will be held Saturday along with 3 drawings for $500 cash prizes. The grand prize winner can choose a $20,000 cash option instead of the Jeep. Raffle proceeds will go towards establishing a perpetual endowment for the ongoing care and preservation of St. Boniface Catholic Church. For more information, you can go to sbfolda.org. With its second flight now in the books, Honor Flight of Southern Indiana is now looking to the future. Flight officials are already recruiting more veterans and volunteers for their next flight, which will take off from the Evansville Regional Airport in late October. Now, this past Saturday's flight had 70 veterans on board and countless volunteers. Honor Flight of Southern Indiana Logistics Coordinator Patrick Savage says last Saturday's flight was made up almost entirely of World War II veterans. However, he says other veterans will soon be honored as well.
The Korea vets and the Vietnam vets. We had one Vietnam vet on this flight. He got kind of bumped up in line because of a medical issue, but he made it. So.
A dozen veterans from Du Bois and Spencer counties took part in Saturday's flight. The average age of those veterans on board was 92 years old, and the youngest veteran was 88. Pat O'Keefe is with the Southern Indiana Leatherneck Detachment of the Marine Corps League and served in the Air Force in Vietnam in 1968 and 1969. O'Keefe says for the third flight and beyond, it will take help to fill the plane.
We need veterans. We need people to go in their communities and find them and contact us. And they can contact us on our Facebook page, Honor Flight Southern Indiana, or on our website, honorflightsi.org.
Now, Honor Flight of Southern Indiana's first flight was in October of 2014. Savage says the group plans to keep each flight at 70 veterans for the foreseeable future. However, he says those plans are subject to change depending on how many veterans sign up. The Indiana State Police Jasper Post will be hosting a blood drive later this month. ISP is partnering with the American Red Cross to host the drive, which will be held at the State Police Post in the parking lot on Jasper's north side on Friday, June 19th from 1 till 5 p.m. Anyone who wants to sign up ahead of time can go to the website listed on the screen. You can then click on Indiana State Police Jasper on the left side and choose your time to donate blood. The Indiana State Police are proud to partner with the American Red Cross to provide this service to the community. On average, every 2 seconds, someone in the United States needs blood, which requires more than 41,000 blood donations daily. There's more news tonight in the ongoing war on HIV here in Southern Indiana. State health officials say 166 people have now tested positive for HIV in a southeastern Indiana outbreak that's tied to needle sharing among intravenous drug users. The 163 confirmed cases and 3 preliminary positive cases have gone up from last week's total of 163. Nearly all of the cases in Indiana's largest ever HIV outbreak have occurred in Scott County near Louisville. Officials say that outbreak has been largely driven by the needle sharing among people injecting a liquefied form of the painkiller Opana. State health officials, meanwhile, say a state-authorized needle exchange program in Scott County that's aimed at combating the outbreak now has 182 participants. The program has distributed 24,000 clean needles and collected nearly 23,700 used needles. Indiana University says its Board of Trustees has approved freezing undergraduate tuition rates for the next 2 years for Indiana residents attending the main campus in Bloomington. The school says the trustees voted Wednesday to approve the recommended freeze that IU President Michael McRobbie presented 2 weeks ago. The trustees also approved a 1.5% increase for out-of-state students on the Bloomington campus over the next 2 years. Tuition increases at IUPUI and at IU's 5 other regional campuses will increase by an average of 1.65%. Graduate school tuition increases for Indiana residents will vary by school, but will average about 2% and won't go more than 3%. Non-resident graduate school tuition would go up by just under 3% on average. And finally this evening, it's official. Glenda Ritz has entered the race for Indiana governor. Ritz made her announcement this morning at Ben Davis High School on the west side of Indianapolis. Now, Ritz is the 3rd Democrat to enter the race, which also includes former Indiana House Speaker and 2012 candidate John Gregg and State Senator Karen Talian of Portage. Ritz has clashed repeatedly with Pence and has appointed State Board of Education over education policy. In 2012, she upset then Superintendent Tony Bennett with a grassroots campaign that was fueled largely by teachers unhappy with education reforms that the Republican pushed. All right, coming up after the break, a rainy Friday followed by a sunny weekend and more on the WBDC Cornhole Tournament of Champions. We're back after this.